Wow. Looks like someone is serious about diving into the world of business analysis. You weren't kidding about wanting to explore this career path.
You definitely weren't. This snack of materials you sent over is seriously impressive. Career guides, official standard documents, even infographics with all those juicy salary stats. You've been busy.
You really have done your homework. This is exactly what we live for on this show, getting to take a deep dive into all this great information.
That's right. We're here to help unpack it all and see what being a BA is really all about. So are you ready?
Absolutely. So you want to know if becoming a BA is the right move for you. I get it. But one of the first things that jumped out at me from these materials, especially the Business Analysis Career Guide and the Global State of Business Analysis infographic, was the salary potential.
Yeah, the earning potential is definitely something to get excited about.
We're talking potentially breaking into that six-figure range. I have to admit, that definitely caught my eye too.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of BAs are seeing averages well over $100,000 USD. But as with any career, the number on your paycheck really depends on a bunch of different things. You know, your experience, any certifications you have, what industry you're in, even just where you're located geographically, it all comes into play.
It's not like you get your BA certification and boom, instant six figures.
Right, exactly. These figures give us a good starting point, but we'll want to look at things a little more specifically later to give you a better idea of what you could be looking at.
Okay, so no two BA careers are exactly alike. Mm-hmm. But even before we start dreaming about dollar signs, let's back up a bit and answer a super basic question. What does a business analyst actually do? Like, day to day?
Yeah, great question.
The Business Analysis Career Guide defines it as, and I'm quoting here, enabling change by defining needs and recommending solutions.
Right.
Which honestly sounds a bit vague to me. Like, what does that even mean?
I know, I get it. It's accurate, sure, but really broad. Luckily, the Business Analysis Standard actually breaks it down into more concrete terms. It says to think of a BA as a sort of bridge between a business problem and a technological solution.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So they analyze the problem, then they communicate their findings about it, and then they help actually build that solution. And all of this is happening while navigating the whole tangled web that is a company or organization.
So less about being a spreadsheet wizard and more about being a problem-solving communicator. Yeah. Someone who can speak business and tech fluently.
Exactly. And if you look at the roles and responsibilities section in one of your guides here, you'll see they wear a lot of hats, working with executives, developers, stakeholders, anyone and everyone who has a stake in the project. It's a very dynamic role.
Definitely not your typical desk job then.
Not at all. They've got to take these complex ideas, technical jargon, all that, and translate it into something everyone understands. And then when things go wrong, because let's face it, when don't they in a project, the BA is the one who steps in and helps steer everybody toward a solution.
Sounds like they need to have some serious people skills on top of the technical stuff. Okay, so starting to get a clearer picture of what a BA does. But how do you know if you personally, have what it takes to be one? This guide has a whole section titled, Is Business Analysis for You? And some of the personality traits they list here are a bit surprising.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, of course, it mentions problem solving, being a good communicator, all that. But then it throws in an eye for detail. And I have to admit, that one threw me for a loop.
Interesting. You know, it does seem kind of random at first. Like, why would attention to detail matter so much for a job that's all about big picture thinking?
Exactly.
But actually, when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. We're talking about someone who has to go through massive documents and spreadsheets, finding inconsistencies, catching those tiny errors that could have huge consequences down the line.
Like missing a decimal point in a budget proposal.
Yikes.
Exactly. Or spotting a loophole in a contract.
Yeah.
They have to make sure nothing important gets missed. It's almost like being a detective, but for business. Mm-hmm. A business detective. I like it. Okay, so maybe a love for Where's Waldo puzzles is a transferable skill after all. But let's be real. Nobody is born knowing how to do a SWOT analysis. So what are some of the actual skills and backgrounds that make someone a good fit for the BA world?
Well, the cool thing is that there's no one-size-fits-all answer there. If you look at the business analyst backgrounds section in that guide you sent, it highlights how BAs come from all sorts of professional backgrounds. Tech, finance, marketing, you name it.
Really? That's so interesting.
Yeah, you'd be surprised at the variety. I think what unites them all is a really strong foundation in analytical thinking, those communication skills we talked about, and just a genuine passion for solving problems, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not just about what you know right now, it's more about how you think and whether you're eager to learn new things.
Exactly. Because the field is always changing. New tech, new methodologies, the whole way businesses operate even. Speaking of which, I noticed both the How to Become a Business Analyst article and the Career Guide both made a point of emphasizing certifications.
Yeah, they really seem to stress that.
There's a good reason. They're basically a way to show you've got the knowledge, the skills, and that you're serious about the profession.
Like a stamp of approval from the BA gods, basically.
Exactly. They tell employers, hey, I've put in the time, I've mastered the core principles of business analysis, you can trust me.
That reminds me, the Global State of Business Analysis infographic actually broke down the salary differences between certified and non-certified professionals. And spoiler alert, it makes a pretty good case for adding those credentials to your resume if you're serious about this career.
Oh yeah, how so?
Well, for example, it highlighted that CBA certified professionals earn something like 15% more on average than their non-certified counterparts. So those certifications translate to real money in your pocket.
That's huge. But it makes sense when you consider the value employers place on those qualifications.
Yeah, for sure. Especially in a field like business analysis where things change so quickly, being able to demonstrate that commitment to constantly learning new things can really give you an advantage.
Definitely. You got to stay ahead of the curve.
Okay, so certifications aside, what about the actual tools of the trade? I have to admit that top 10 business analysis tools list you sent over was a real eye-opener. It's not all spreadsheets and calculators, is it?
Nope. We're talking about specialized software, diagramming tools, even something called a Kanban board, which I honestly hadn't even heard of before.
Right. There was some seriously cool stuff on that list.
It's a pretty diverse toolkit, but I think the mark of a good BA is knowing that they're just that, tools. It's about choosing the right tool for the situation and, even more importantly, knowing how to actually use it effectively.
So you could have the fanciest software in the world, but if you don't know how to use it to analyze data, model processes, and then communicate your findings in a way that makes sense to everyone.
It's useless, basically.
Exactly. So it sounds like this blend of technical know-how and communication mastery is what really makes a BA effective.
100%.
And the business analysis techniques section that you sent over, it dives into some of the ways they actually do that. Things like data modeling, process mapping, SWOT analysis, stakeholder analysis.
It's about bringing order to the chaos, you know?
Yeah, I get it. It's like having a whole arsenal of strategies to tackle whatever problem comes your way.
Exactly.
And speaking of leveling up your skills, I wanted to circle back to those certifications. The top business analysis certifications document lays out a really clear path. It starts with the entry-level ECBA, then you've got your CCBA for those with a bit more experience under their belt.
Right, and then ultimately you've got the holy grail for seasoned BAs, the CBAP, the Certified Business Analysis Professional.
It's like the PhD of business analysis.
Exactly.
I kind of love that they've gamified it a bit, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're leveling up your character in a video game.
Yeah, I know. It makes it more fun, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it shows that no matter where you are in your journey, whether you're just dipping your toes into the BA pool or you're a seasoned pro looking to cement your expertise, there's a certification path out there for you.
So we've covered a ton of ground here today. We talked about what a BA actually does, the skills that can help you succeed, even how certifications can boost your earning power. But I think now is the time to bring it back to you, dear listener. Does this sound like the right path for you? What do you think?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Yeah. We've given you the map, the tools, all that, but ultimately it comes down to you and whether you can picture yourself thriving in this type of role.
Yeah, absolutely.
Think about your own workplace for a second. What are some things that could be improved? Any processes that could be streamlined? Maybe there's a way to leverage technology better or improve communication between teams. These are the kinds of challenges that BAs get to tackle every single day.
I love that you frame it that way. Like we're giving our listeners permission to put on their BA glasses and start looking at their own work through a new lens. The lens of problem solving and, like you said, optimization.
Exactly. It's really about cultivating that analytical mindset, whether you decide to pursue a formal BA role or not. Just start noticing those areas where things could be better, you know?
So for our listener who's thinking, okay, I'm intrigued, this BA thing might be my jam, where do I go from here?
Yeah.
Frey, what advice would you give them? What are some good first steps they can take?
Well, I'd say go back to those resources you sent over. For one, there's so much good stuff in there. Explore the websites of those professional organizations we talked about, like the IIBA, and definitely take a deeper dive into the different certification paths. See which one lines up best with your goals.
And don't be afraid to reach out to some real-life BAs.
Oh, absolutely.